Overnight, the United States struck Iran's most fortified island, a fortress hiding an underground missile city in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. Within hours, Iranian ballistic missiles and kamikaze drones were falling on 3 different countries. Air defenses lit up over Bahrain. Kuwait's International Airport went dark. And the fragile ceasefire between Washington and Tehran is now hanging by a thread. Here's exactly what happened, confirmed by CENTCOM itself. It started on the night of June 2nd. According to U.S. Central Command, Iranian one-way attack drones were launched towards civilian mariners, commercial ships just trying to survive in a strait that's been a war zone since February. U.S. forces shot down 3 of those drones over the water. But this time, Washington didn't stop at defense. CENTCOM ordered what it called self-defense strikes on Qeshm Island, specifically targeting an Iranian military ground control station, the facility allegedly guiding those drone attacks on shipping. This is the official CENTCOM release, not a rumor, not a leak. Their own words. U.S. forces, quote, successfully defeated multiple Iranian ballistic missiles and drones and struck Qeshm in response to attempted attacks across the Middle East. Link in the description. Now, why does hitting this island change everything? Because Qeshm isn't just any island.
With every passing hour, we know, and we know they know, that the military capabilities of their evil regime are crumbling.
Qeshm is a 558-square-mile island sitting directly inside the Strait of Hormuz, the choke point for roughly a fifth of the world's oil. In peacetime, it was a tourist spot. Salt caves, old colonial forts. The British Royal Navy actually ran a coaling station there until 1935. Today, defense analysts describe something very different: an underground missile city. According to satellite imagery analysis from the Hudson Institute, Iran has moved a significant portion of its anti-ship missiles into underground launch positions on Qeshm. Missiles pop out, fire at a tanker or a warship, and disappear back under rock before anything can respond. This is why the strait has stayed closed since February, even after the U.S. says it has destroyed over 10,000 targets and more than 100 Iranian vessels. You can sink a navy. It's much harder to sink an island. And that's why last night's strike matters. For months, Qeshm has been briefed as a possible target if Washington ever decided to break Iran's grip on the strait by force. Hitting a ground control station there isn't just retaliation. It's a message. The fortress is no longer off limits.
Iran's response came within hours, and it was the broadest barrage since the ceasefire began. In Kuwait, the international airport was hit by drones and missiles on the morning of June 3rd. Kuwaiti officials confirmed severe damage to airport facilities, flights frozen, 1 person killed and dozens injured. Kuwait's air defenses intercepted 13 missiles and 17 drones in a single day. By evening, Kuwait was expelling 2 Iranian diplomats. In Bahrain, home of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, 3 ballistic missiles were intercepted by joint American and Bahraini air defenses. And then came the claim that set off alarm bells. Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced it had successfully struck the 5th Fleet's headquarters itself, plus a U.S. airbase in the region. CENTCOM immediately and flatly denied it. So who's telling the truth? Here's what we can verify. No independent footage of damage to any U.S. base has surfaced. Iran has a documented pattern of claiming hits the U.S. denies. They claimed a warship strike back in May that CENTCOM also denied. But the fact that Iran needs that claim tells you something. After losing ships, ports, and now facilities on Qeshm, Tehran has to show its own people it can still punch back.
If you're just catching up, here's the war in 60 seconds. February, the U.S. and Israel launch their campaign against Iran. Iran answers by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. March 14th, U.S. forces hammer Karg Island, more than 90 military targets in one night, while deliberately sparing the oil terminals. March 19th, a full air campaign begins over the strait. April 13th, Washington flips the script, a naval blockade of Iran's own ports. Then the blockade got teeth. April 19th, the destroyer USS Spruance fires 9 rounds into a cargo ship's engine room after it ignored warnings. In May, Navy Super Hornets disable 3 Iranian tankers in 3 days, one with a 20mm cannon burst straight into its rudder. As of last month, over 70 tankers carrying $13 billion of Iranian oil are trapped. A ceasefire was declared. Both sides claim it still technically holds. What you just watched tonight is what technically holds looks like.
So where does this go? 2 paths. Path 1, the deal. President Trump says Iran has agreed to a major concession, committing not to pursue a nuclear weapon, and claims Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, is personally involved in negotiations through written messages passed by intermediaries. Trump has even said he'd like to meet him face to face. And critically, Trump stated this week there is no need for a ground operation against Iran. Path 2, escalation. The talks are entering their 3rd month with no signed agreement. Trump's own warning, in his words, get the deal signed fast, or, quote, we'll knock them out a lot harder. The Wall Street Journal has reported the U.S. could resume full-scale war if American service members are killed. And every night like June 2nd is a night where that can happen. One missile leaking through over Bahrain, and the deal is dead. Meanwhile, you're paying for this standoff at the pump. Oil jumped another 5% this week on the uncertainty alone. A closed Hormuz isn't a Middle East problem. It's a global one. Here's the bottom line. The U.S. just proved it will strike Qeshm, the one piece of ground Iran believed was untouchable. Iran just proved it can still put missiles over 3 countries in one night. Both sides are negotiating with one hand and firing with the other. The next 2 weeks decide it. Either a signed deal reopens the most important waterway on Earth, or the ceasefire becomes a word nobody bothers using anymore. Every claim in this video is sourced. CENTCOM's official release and the full reporting are linked in the description. If you want the breakdown the moment the next strike happens, and at this pace it will happen, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment, deal or ground war. I read every one. This is Warfront Alert. Stay sharp.